What were your day-to-day responsibilities here?
Sure. So it was kind of a lot. It was a startup. Um, and one thing, when
Mm-hmm.
I first started, there was about 400 employees, and when I was leaving, there was like about 800 employees, or excuse me, over 1,000. And so basically, what we did there is we just what I did to take care of his benefits. I did, if kind of when I was onboarded again, it was a startup, so there was really no onboarding process, and meeting someone for just
Mm-hmm.
benefits. And when I came, I made a benefit presentation. So there were corporate, and then there was like 4 distribution centers across the U.S. One was in San Leandro, California. So I would go there once a month, and I would kind of do new hire orientations there, and I created PowerPoints, employee manual, handbook, kind of like building up everything from the ground up. And so I would also do the payroll, which was, every other 2 weeks. And there our payroll would be anywhere from like 2 million to 2.5 million, just because of the amount of people that they had.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And because it was a startup, I did so many different other things. Like, it was just insane.
That's amazing. Can you think of anything
Hmm.
more that you did?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
handle the payrolls, you develop the manuals and the
So,
documentation, and
so
what else?
when I was, when I got there was no leave process. Again, people wouldn't know, managers wouldn't even know when people were going on leave. So what we did is we created a manual, or not a manual, but like a how-to, created like
Mm-hmm.
a LOA process. And basically what we do there is, okay, so we would distribute it because each distribution center had a HR manager, so I was providing support to them, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I created this LOA process, like, okay, you have 15 days from the time you receive, kind of giving them a step by step on what to do and how to do and who to contact when and how many days this has, and kind of give them like a little cheat sheet for the
Mm-hmm.
HR managers. That way we're all on the same page.
Okay. So you distributed these LOAs to the HR managers of the different departments, right?
Yeah.
And how many departments were there?
Well, it wasn't really departments. It was distribution centers. These huge centers were, oh, wow. Um, there's like a loud sound in the background.
Oh, sorry
Okay.
about that.
No, it's still handling.
So,
Okay.
how many managers were there?
So there were 4 managers because there was 4 HR distribution, or not HR, 4 distribution centers. Like, one was like
Hmm.
across different states. So one was in California, one was in Pennsylvania, one was in Georgia, and one was in Chicago or
Okay,
Illinois.
okay, got it. So you distributed those region wise. Got it.
Yeah. And then also, even for payroll, I did payroll across 4 states, and I
Oh,
talked to them
okay,
5 different times. Yeah.
okay, okay. What were some major issues that you discovered upon joining, other than the onboarding process, which was
Hmm.
lackluster? What else did you discover?
Um, Other than the LOA process, the handbook, there was a lot of issues that would come up with payroll just because, each
What
state
kind of
has their
issues?
own rules.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, payroll, I mean, every state has their own HR, or excuse me, payroll. Like, for example, in California, if you get terminated, you if your employer terminates you, you have to get a check at the end of that day they terminate you, or else you get fined. In other states, that's not the case. So just, I guess, having to track down um, which
Different
employees from which
policies.
state, yeah, different policies, and just trying to keep it, making sure that you follow each state's policies.
Okay, got it. And how else did you improve the onboarding?
Well, I guess this is kind of like it kind of improved everything, but we got a ticketing system. Because at that point I was getting so many emails. I was kind of getting, lots of emails where kind of it was hard to keep track, and also I wanted there to be some kind of accountability. and making sure that so they would send me an email, and then that would go straight to a ticket. And I would
Okay.
receive that ticketing, and we basically created a ticketing system. That way, we can also then create reports from that to see, okay, where are most of the tickets coming from? What are most of the issues? And then how to, better that process or whatever. So that really helped with figuring out where the issues are
Okay.
and how
And
to
it
tackle
also
them
took
before.
time?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely.
Okay. You administered medical, dental, vision, life, and disability insurance plans and
Mm-hmm.
benefits to over 1,000 employees. What
Mm-hmm.
steps did you take to ensure accurate administration of these benefits? And did you also have a hand in selecting the or verifying and choosing who gets what benefits? For example, disability, you have to go through a process, you have to verify the person, you have to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that they are legible for it. So, did you have
Mm-hmm.
any hand in that?
Well, I mean, mostly, the ticketing system helped us. Okay, who's the new hire? Okay, these are the new hires, and then you would create a report for all the new hires, and then just make sure that they're enrolled or not. And so, looking from there, then you would go like, okay, just email them, hey, you have 5 more days to enroll into benefits. Please do so, or else you will not have any benefits. In terms of disability, everybody had disability insurance that was full time.
Okay.
There was, and if they wanted to up their, disability insurance, we all paid for a short-term disability for everyone, 60% of their pay.
Okay. Okay. Did you encounter any issues during this process, during the administration of benefits?
I mean, there would always be like small little problems, but it was always like tech issues that would come from we have to call the HRS system because they were also new.
Mm-hmm.
It was Paylocity. They were also a startup, and so I think they just couldn't handle our volume anymore because we were at over 1,000 employees. So there was also always things that we had to build together with the system. If there was something that was convenient to have, we'd call them and they would try to work with us and see if they can put that in.
Can you give me an example of the kind of systems that you built to
Sure.
deal with the
Um,
volume? Go on.
mhm. So one thing we did to, I guess, save paper is we built out the onboarding module. Everything was done online. There was
Okay.
no paper, and so building that out with them, saying, "Hey, this is what we need. This is what we don't need." Blah blah. And we were one of their first customers to use their onboarding module. So that was one thing. Another thing was we couldn't enter a new hire or rehire date for employees. So we called them and then they made that happen. And there was just a lot of smaller things.
Okay. You couldn't enter the rehire date.
Yeah. Yeah. There was no place to add a rehire date.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And the other issues is when we put voluntary or when we put termination, there was no reason we could put, voluntary and voluntary. So we actually added that as well.
Okay. Got it. How did you maintain active coordination between human resource business partners and supervisors and employees across all
Um,
4 distribution centers?
mhm.
How did you manage that?
So majority of times we would have, biweekly meetings, sometimes monthly,
I'm sorry, what?
biweekly meetings every 2 weeks.
Okay.
We'd have a meeting,
Hmm.
to just make sure everyone's on the same page. And most of the communication was done through the ticketing system. If I felt like I got a message that was, had to do with the HR manager, then I would just assign them the ticket. So that's how we coordinated.
Did you set up the meetings?
Yeah, so every 2 weeks, or sometimes we'd push it out to a month.
Okay. You set up the meetings. Did you develop the agenda? Did you coordinate about the
Yes,
schedules as well?
yes. Just because I did have, the access to everybody's schedule.
Okay.
The only person, so then I was the person in charge.
Got it. And were there any challenges that you faced while doing this, while managing coordination across four centers?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of, I guess, hard to do just because everyone was kind of in a different time zone.
Mm-hmm.
So either sometimes we would have to take the hit and make sure, or schedule the meeting very late for us, which was okay for them, just because the timing that was just perfect wouldn't work out for people who were in the East Coast. Or sometimes we would do super early, so it kind of depends.
Got it. Okay, so we've already talked about the onboarding. Is there anything else you would like to add for the onboarding?
No,
Okay. Did you streamline any other internal processes other than the onboarding, the communication, and the documentation?
I guess no, just the onboarding mostly because the benefit presentations, like, so that was all part of onboarding. But that's about it.
Okay. And what were the weekly and monthly reports that you created? Were these also from the ticketing system you mentioned?
So some of them were from the ticketing, and then the
Okay.
others were
Which one?
for like new hire reports, and then no, excuse me, not new hire reports, issues, like what kind of, mostly because the ticket we would then kind of what is that word? We would categorize it into what the issue is,
Mm-hmm.
right? Is it a software issue? Is it a employee relation issue? Like, what is the issue? Benefit issue. Then
Okay.
from that, we would create a report from that.